Ever get the feeling that there's more to the internet than meets the eye, like we're just scratching the surface?
You know, it's funny you say that. Most people only interact with a tiny fraction of the web. We're talking about a whole other world beneath the surface.
Okay, so let's talk about that. We're going deep today, diving into the mysterious world of the dark web.
The dark web. It's fascinating how it kind of turns our whole idea of the internet upside down. You know, we think of it as this open book, but there's this whole other side with its own set of rules.
It's like a secret society operating right under our noses. It's got a reputation for being pretty dangerous, though, right?
It definitely does. But it's not all bad, you know? There are valid reasons for wanting to be anonymous online.
Yeah, I guess so.
Think about journalists in countries with limited press freedom, or whistleblowers trying to expose corruption.
Right, they need to stay hidden to stay safe.
Exactly. Or even just individuals who want to protect their privacy in a world that's increasingly under surveillance. And that's where Tor comes in.
Tor, the onion writer, right? It's like the key to this hidden world. I've heard it can make you anonymous by bouncing your internet traffic through a bunch of different servers.
That's the basic idea.
But if I'm being honest, the whole onion routing thing sounds a bit sketchy to me.
I can see why you'd think that. It's natural to be wary of anything that claims to offer complete anonymity.
You know, like, who are these people running these servers? Can we really trust them?
Well, the technology behind Tor is actually quite sophisticated. It's not some new thing either. It's been around for decades.
Really?
Yeah. It was originally developed by the U.S. Department of Defense.
Wow. The DoD. That's not what I would have expected.
Yeah, they needed a way to protect their sensitive communications.
Makes sense.
And then later on, it became an open source project run by volunteers all over the world.
Okay, so it's not some shady operation in a basement somewhere.
No, not at all. It's really a testament to how powerful cryptography and decentralized networks can be.
So how does it actually work, this whole onion routing thing?
Basically, what Tor does is it encrypts your data and then sends it through a series of relays.
Relays.
Basically, they're just computers. And each relay only knows about the one before it and the one after it.
So, like, it's like passing a secret note from person to person, right?
Kind of, yeah. And because your data gets encrypted at each step, it's really hard for anyone to trace it back to you.
So that's the onion part. Like, each layer is another layer of encryption.
Exactly. It's a pretty clever system.
So is it foolproof? I mean, can you really be completely anonymous on Tor?
Well, nothing is ever truly foolproof when it comes to security, right? There are always vulnerabilities. And with Tor, there are certain points where your data could be at risk.
Like what?
The exit node, for example.
The exit node. What's that?
It's the last relay in the chain before your traffic reaches its destination. That's a potential weak point.
Ah, I see. So even if you're being super careful with your anonymity, there's still a chance that someone could be snooping at the end of the tunnel.
That's the challenge with any anonymity network. It's like trying to stay hidden in a crowded room. You can do your best to blend in, but there's always a chance someone might spot you.
Okay. That's starting to make me a little nervous.
And that's why it's so important to understand the security implications of using Tor.
You know, especially for businesses. They've got all this sensitive data they need to protect. It sounds like even just venturing onto the dark web could be risky.
You're absolutely right, and that's why taking precautions is crucial.
Okay, so the dark web has its risks. But how does that really affect businesses? I mean, most companies aren't exactly hanging out on the dark web, right?
You'd be surprised. The thing is, the dark web has become this kind of hub for cyber criminal activity.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Stolen data ends up there, for sale. Hacking tools, too. It's where a lot of cyber attacks are actually planned.
Wow. So even if a business isn't directly using Tor or going on the dark web themselves, they could still become a target.
Absolutely. Think of it like this. You might live in a safe neighborhood, but that doesn't mean your house can't get burglarized.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Cyber criminals are always on the lookout for weaknesses, and the dark web gives them a marketplace to exploit those weaknesses.
Okay, that's pretty unsettling. What kind of specific threats should businesses be worried about?
Well, one of the biggest ones right now is ransomware.
Ransomware.
Yeah, ransomware attacks have become so sophisticated, and the dark web plays a big role in that. Criminals can buy these pre-made ransomware kits, they share strategies, even work together to create new, even more powerful strains.
So it's like a breeding ground for this stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. And what makes ransomware so dangerous is that it can completely shut down a business.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine your whole network is locked up, all your data encrypted, and the
Oh.
only way to get it back is to pay a ransom, usually in cryptocurrency, which is hard to trace.
That sounds like a nightmare scenario.
It is, especially for companies that handle sensitive data.
So what can they do? How do they protect themselves from these dark web threats?
The first step is to have a solid data protection strategy.
Okay, what does that look like?
Well, you've got your basics, strong passwords, using multi-factor authentication, keeping your software updated to fix any security holes. But it goes beyond that, too.
In what way?
You need to think about having really comprehensive data protection solutions, ones that can specifically address ransomware and other cyber attacks.
So it's like not just locking the front door, but having a backup plan in case someone actually breaks in.
Exactly. And that's where solutions like Stonefly's data protection and disaster recovery appliances come in.
They can help with this.
They can. They give you a centralized platform for managing all your backups, making sure you have copies of your data, and that you can get back up and running quickly if you're ever attacked. Like having a safety net, just in case you fall.
Okay, so Stonefly can help protect data and get things back to normal if there is a ransomware attack or something like that. But what about preventing attacks in the first place?
That's a great question. One of the best ways to prevent attacks is to train your employees on security awareness.
Security awareness.
Yeah, teach them how to spot phishing scams, suspicious links, things like that. Because human error, honestly, is often the weakest link in the chain.
So like teaching your employees to be more cyber savvy.
Exactly. The more they know, the less likely they are to accidentally click on something that could compromise the whole system. It's about creating a whole culture of security within the organization.
I like that. And speaking of security, Stonefly, our sponsor for today's deep dive, they're really focused on providing businesses with the tools to deal with these kinds of challenges, right?
They are. Stonefly offers a whole range of data protection solutions specifically designed to handle the threats we've been talking about. Their backup and disaster recovery appliances, for example, they provide a really comprehensive approach to data security.
What makes this so special?
Well, they have features like data encryption and immutability, which can be really important when it comes to defending against ransomware.
Data encryption and immutability. I'm not sure I know what those are.
Sure. So data encryption basically scrambles up your data, so it's unreadable to anyone who doesn't have the key to unlock it. That's important for protecting sensitive information, whether it's being stored or transmitted.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then you have immutability. This means your backups can't be changed or deleted even if an attacker gets into your system. Think of it like a super secure vault for your data.
Wow, so it's like double protection for your most important stuff.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that makes Stonefly's solutions so powerful. They provide that extra layer of security that businesses need to really feel confident in today's world.
That's reassuring to hear.
It is. It's a complex world out there, and the threats are constantly evolving. But by staying informed, taking proactive steps, and using the right tools, businesses can stay ahead of the curve.
This has been really eye-opening. It's clear that being proactive is key, and Stonefly seems to be a real leader in helping businesses do just that. We've talked a lot about the dangers lurking in the dark web, but it's not all bad, is it?
No, not at all. It's like any tool, really.
Yeah.
It can be used for good or for bad.
Right. Like we touched on earlier, it can be a lifeline for whistleblowers and journalists who are working in, dangerous places.
Exactly. Those folks need anonymity to stay safe.
It's almost like a digital safe space for them to speak out without fear of, being silenced.
Precisely. And it's not just about individual safety either. Think about the potential for promoting free speech and privacy in countries with strict censorship.
That's true. The dark web could give a voice to people who would otherwise be silenced.
It's a really powerful example of how technology can be a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it can be used to control people, but it can also be used to set them free.
And as technology keeps advancing, it's so important that we have these conversations, that we explore both the good and the bad sides of it.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the dark web today, what are the key takeaways for our listeners, especially those who are responsible for protecting data in their organizations?
I think the most important thing to remember is that being proactive about security is absolutely crucial.
Proactive, okay.
You need to understand the threats, put strong security measures in place, and have a solid plan for backing up your data and recovering it if something goes wrong.
And of course, partnering with a company like Stonefly can really make a difference there.
Absolutely. Stonefly's data protection and disaster recovery solutions are specifically designed to help businesses deal with the kind of threats that we see coming from the dark web.
And they offer those features we talked about, data
Mhm.
encryption and immutability.
Right. Those can be real game changers when it comes to defending against things like ransomware. They can be the difference between a minor hiccup and a total disaster.
Well, this has been an incredible journey exploring the depths of the internet with you. I feel like we've uncovered some real secrets and faced some, well, maybe some digital demons along the way.
I agree. It's been an adventure, for sure.
But we've come out the other side with a better understanding of the challenges and the opportunities that are out there.
Exactly. The dark web might be hidden, but its impact is very real. Businesses need to be aware of the risks, take steps to protect themselves, and use the right tools and solutions.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the dark web. We hope you found it informative and maybe even a little bit thrilling. And if you'd like to learn more about Stonefly and how their solutions can help protect your business, be sure to visit their website. They have a ton of resources and expertise to help you on your cybersecurity journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe out there in the wild world of the internet.